Hi everyone and welcome back. I'm Greg, aka Pyromaniac, and today I want to talk a little bit about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, aka PUBG, and specifically where the game is in 2021. The game released officially in December 2017 on PC, although was in early access beta from around March 2017, so the game's been out in the wild for the best part of 3.5 to 4 years. It's also released on consoles shortly after, and a separate popular mobile instalment also followed. I've been playing a little bit lately, and having played it early on in its life too, I thought it would be interesting just to talk about how I've been finding the game, its progression since the early days, and where it might go in the future as well. I also have some footage playing in the background of a really fun solo win, my first actually since playing the game again, so I hope you all enjoy that as well. So back in 2017, PUBG was released to a generally positive reception. It was one of the first Battle Royale games which was designed specifically as such, rather than being a mod for another game. PUBG wasn't without its bugs and performance issues, and therefore received some criticism at and following release, but on the whole the game was praised and enjoyed by millions. In fact, so popular was the game that it spawned a huge number of follow-up games of the Battle Royale genre, which is still going strong today in 2021. For example, see Call of Duty Warzone and Apex Legends. This is one of the reasons why I was interested in returning to PUBG, to see how it holds up nearly 4 years on from its release in beta. As far as game content is concerned, over the past 3.5 years there's been a lot of live development on the game. I won't pretend that I've played it all the time, so I cannot speak at length on some of the seasonal content which has been released, but having played the end of the last season and the start of this season, I can definitely compare the early days with the current day. Over that time, there have been releases of a further 6 maps in the game, adding to the original Erangel map, for a total of 7 maps. In addition to Erangel, the maps added, in order, are Miramar, Sanhok, Vikendi, Karakin, Paramo and Haven. There have also been a number of map reworks over the past 3.5 years. So far, Erangel, Vikendi and Sanhok have all received a remaster, with a view to improving gameplay on each of the maps, with mixed results. I personally enjoy most of the newer PUBG maps. The gameplay is faster paced and loot vastly improved, to the point that I would like to see some of the pacing improvements from the newer maps transposed into the older, larger maps such as Erangel and Miramar. Maps in PUBG are now on a random rotation, but with only a set number of all the maps actually being available at one time. Currently there are 5 maps available to play at the time of this video, but you're randomly allocated one of the maps for each match. You cannot choose. The other 2 maps, which at the time of this video are Karakin and Haven, are cycled out. Again, this seems to have been done to aid queue times, so it's hard not to be behind this if it generally improves the quality of the game for the majority of players. In addition to new maps, PUBG also introduced a seasonal pass system, which adds a swathe of cosmetic items for your character and weapons with each season. These have received generally mixed receptions from season to season. The gameplay of PUBG is definitely an acquired taste in 2021. On its release in 2017, PUBG was the Battle Royale game, and without many other Battle Royale games on the market, the gameplay of PUBG was generally enjoyed by all who played it. However, in 2021 there are so many other Battle Royale options on offer with drastically differing speeds and styles of gameplay that PUBG has definitely fallen into a specific style and category. The gameplay is generally slower, especially so on the larger maps, with a middling time to kill. It's got a lower TTK than Apex, but a higher one than Warzone, barring a well placed headshot which can kill in one. The player movement in PUBG is also on the slower side, and whilst all BRs encourage tactical play, getting the drop on someone from the high ground in PUBG will give a sizable advantage in winning the ensuing firefight. It also needs to be mentioned that there are no respawns in PUBG, so if you die as a member of a duo or squad, death is permanent and you can only spectate until the end of the match. Loot in PUBG has always been a hot topic, with frequent complaints from players that loot is either sparse or too low quality, causing a significant disparity in firefights. Arguably, this affects the fairness of the game when perhaps a player who hits headshots on level 3 armour wearing player could lose the fight to a person body shotting level 2 armour. This issue is more noticeable on the maps where the loot is sparser, see for example Miramar and Erangel, but has been fairly persistent complaint even when the developers of PUBG have stated that they've improved loot quality and dispersion on a number of the maps. From my experience, whilst it can be frustrating on occasion to find subpar loot or a lack of loot altogether, this is the nature of RNG in Battle Royale games. Sometimes you'll be fighting at a disadvantage and get a great reward if you overcome that, and other times you'll be the one with the high tier loot fighting off players who have not been so lucky. If all of the loot you find is normalised, so for example all helmets and vests are the same quality, then you do not get that feeling of reward for finding better loot from the ground or from someone you've beaten in a firefight. We also need to talk about bots. AI players were introduced to PUBG in 2020. They only appear in unranked games. There's been a lot of discussion about why this was done and the pros and cons of the same. From my experience, it seems that many of my earlier games had far more bots in them. Playing with newer players also led to games where about 90% of the lobby seemed to be bots. However, the more I've played, the lower the number of bots seems to have become, to the point I hardly see them now after playing for about a month, but I definitely noticed a noticeable decline after even a week. This makes me think that bots in games are likely linked to your level of experience in the game and your MMR. I think this is an acceptable way of using AI players or bots. It helps ease newer players into the game and, I would expect, helps to ensure players get into matches quicker rather than spending minutes waiting in the lobby. It's also entirely possible that as player numbers decline on what is an ageing game, the early introduction of bots will help to keep queue times low, although it may then be that more players see more bots in their lobbies, which could ultimately be a cause for concern if player numbers drop too low. So where does PUBG go from here? The game's definitely had a good run on the whole. Player numbers have definitely hit peaks and troughs since the hype around its release in 2017 and into 2018. However, there is still a relatively decent player base and the game is far from dead. However, with that said, the rumblings are that development's slowing on the game, and it will be interesting to see what the next season brings to the game. If there is a major content release for it next season, then it may well continue to be developed into the immediately foreseeable future. However, if the content next season is lacklustre, as many have argued this season's content have been, then it could be a sign that development is slowing on the game and perhaps, hopefully, another instalment of PUBG is being worked on. PUBG's developers have already confirmed that they're working on PUBG New State, a new mobile instalment of PUBG, but there has been silence on whether a new PC and or console instalment of PUBG is in the works. I personally hope that it is, or soon will be. PUBG's aged generally well, but if a second instalment of the PUBG franchise was to be released on PC and console, I think the developers could take a lot of what they've learned over the past 3.5 years plus to make a second PUBG game really great and with even wider mass appeal than the first, but I guess we'll have to wait and see on that front. So PUBG in 2021, how has it aged? Generally well, I think. As a returning player, I've enjoyed it quite a lot. It still isn't perfect, but when was PUBG ever that anyway? It's been fun to return to, and I do look forward to what the future could hold for PUBG or further PUBG games. If you're a new PUBG player and you've played other Battle Royales, you might find the game is showing its age a bit. You'll probably get some enjoyment out of it, but I would definitely wait until the game's on sale to buy it, given that it does not totally hold up to other Battle Royale games currently on the market. Also, I very much recommend that you play with friends for the maximum carnage and fun. If you know nothing about PUBG or Battle Royales, well, firstly, where have you been for the last 3 years? I would still recommend getting into one of the other available Battle Royale games such as Apex or Warzone or even Fortnite over PUBG. as those games definitely have a bit more polish and are perhaps a little more new player friendly. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I'm planning more content in the coming weeks about PUBG and the other games I enjoy playing, so if you think you'll enjoy this, then please feel free to subscribe, which will help me massively in building this channel. I also stream daily on Twitch, and you can find the link to my channel in the description of this video. I'll be playing PUBG and lots more right there. Thanks so much everyone, I love doing this and I'm so happy you all enjoy it. Your support really means the world to me. I'll definitely see you all soon.